the evidence of witness B. She is logged on. Witness B will be the second of 3 witnesses who will testify in the form set out in the amended ruling earlier this week. Chair, I've confirmed with witness B, she will be taking the oath.
Thank you. I think I'm the one in terms of terminology who misled you. I think both are oaths actually, but it's just that one swears and the other one affirms. So don't blame yourself, blame me from yesterday.
I wholeheartedly blame you.
Witness B, good morning.
Good morning, Commissioner.
Do you swear that the evidence you're going to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? If so, please raise your right hand and say, "So help me God."
So help me God.
Thank you. Yes, Ms. Bowie.
Chair, Commissioners, to begin with, I'd like to confirm with witness B the files that she has before her. Witness B, if you can confirm that you have 3 files in front of you. The first file being your statement.
That's correct.
The second file being the annexures.
That's right.
And the third file being the exhibit file. This is the Katiso bail bundle, which was marked CJC4.
That's correct.
Commissioners, you will have 2 additional files, and that is a set of exhibits. And in terms of the order, these should be marked CJC5. They're broken into 2 files, CJC 5.1 in one file and CJC 5.2 and 3 in another. Chair,
I've got file 1 of 3, 2 of 3, and CJC 5.2 and CJC 5.3. I think you mentioned something else. What is that?
That would be CJC4 from yesterday, the exhibit file.
4.
The Katiso bail bundle. My apologies, Commissioners.
But we'll probably get there much later, so...
Hopefully tomorrow.
Hopefully. Thank you.
Yes, Chair, just to say that the exhibit bundles, both CJC4 and CJC5, are going to be used by all 3 witnesses. So they're not attached to a single witness.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you, Ms. Bowie.
Witness A, if we can turn to the first file that has your statement.
It's in front of me.
Please confirm that this is a statement you have prepared for purposes of giving your testimony before this commission.
I confirm.
And if you turn to page 50 of the statement, please confirm that that is your signature at the end of that statement.
Yes, indeed it is.
Commissioners, having confirmed the statement, we will now proceed to deal with the contents thereof. For anonymity purposes, we don't propose to deal with much of the service history and part of the introduction. We'll focus on those parts that do not reveal witness B's identity. Witness B, can you confirm the correctness of paragraph 1 of your statement?
That's correct.
And in paragraph 2 and 3 of your statement, you deal with the cases you're investigating. Can you briefly take the commission through these cases and the charges that are involved in these cases?
Yes. The charges, actually, from that, the case numbers. It's case number, case number 27544, 2024. As of say, it has babies, of which it's friendly. Case number 149 of 2024, also came review 7704, 2024, and certified case number 2. It's number 286 of 1, 2024. The charge is therefore permanent is murder, a clear prohibits possession of unlicensed firearm, a brainless possession of unlicensed firearms and motor vehicle. Sunnyside, it's hijacking.
Thank you, Witness B. At paragraphs 4 to 6, you deal with your service history. Can you confirm the correctness of these paragraphs?
Yes, that is correct.
Witness B, at paragraph 7, you deal with the SWAT murder. And before you go into the murder investigation itself, you talk about complexities that you faced. Can you take the Commission briefly through these complexities and the unique challenges you faced?
Throughout my career, I've been dealing with the complex matters, mainly serious and violent crimes, of which it had its own challenges. But with this case, it has been a unique one. I think it has escalated to the extreme, and it has so many interferences, it has so many threats. Not that I never dealt with threats before, but in this instance, it was so intense.
Thank you. Oh, you may continue.
Amongst other things that were unique, it was the docket itself. It has there's a lot of people who had an interest in those case, of which it was quite strange, and there was a lot of people who had not the docket itself, maybe if I may put it like that, just the interest in the information, of which it was quite unique. Mainly not because there was an interest in the docket for the good of it, but mostly to the side of the suspect, of which it was quite strange. It was like, I don't know how to put it. There was something so special about the suspects that were involved in this one. Because as I have said, I've been dealing with so many serious crimes that some of them were to be published even in the newspapers and so on, but I never seen so much interest in those cases. But in this one, there was too much.
Can I just ask a question quickly? Witness B, this is Commissioner Khumalo here. When you say there was a lot of interest, was it interest coming from members of the public or from within the service? And at what levels, if it's within the service?
Thank you, Commissioner. It was from all spheres, from public to service to all kind of ranks.
Thank you, Commissioner Khumalo. Witness B, Witness A spoke to in detail about the scene, but at paragraph 8, you deal with your initial attendance to the scenes on the 17th of April. Can you take the Commission through this?
Yes, Commissioners, as Witness A have indicated, yes, indeed, we attended the crime scene on the instruction of Brigadier Fopane. Initially, it was just myself and my colleagues, and then we were joined by 2 other colleagues. Yes, indeed, the scene was consisting of 4 crime scenes, of which we'll break it down by saying, mainly we were called to attend the scene at Bramley, whereby the suspects were arrested. And then those scenes, one of that scene, it was divided into two, because there's where the suspect, when they come from Vereeniging using a different vehicle, went in, parked that vehicle there with some certain exhibits, and then they drove in a different vehicle to almost 2 streets away from that street where they were apprehended. So, and then the next one, it was at Ancient One-Stop Garage, it's Kleprefir area, and then the other one, it was at Vereeniging. Us being called to the scene where people were apprehended, it worth it for us to be able to coordinate all these 4 scenes in order to get the picture what is happening. Because as much as we were called at Bramley, the murder scene, actually, it was at Vereeniging where everything started. Because that's where Mr. Armand Swart was brutally killed. And then everything started from there when the CCTV footage from the company could identify the vehicles, they were circulated, and then subsequently they were arrested at Bramley. And then what bore Kleprefir 77, or as they were moving from Vereeniging to Joburg, and then one suspect got a puncture, and then he was forced now to stop at Engine Garage at Kleprefir, where he was subsequently arrested.
Thank you, Witness B. And at paragraph 10, you deal with the 3 suspects arrested. Can you explain that to the Commission?
Oh, yes. As I've said, we first attended the scene at Bramley, where we found 3 people contained at that point, of which we ought to interview each and every one. Subsequently, only 2 were detained. One was never detained, given the explanation and the connection to the crime. It didn't warrant him to be arrested. Therefore, the 3rd person that we talk about in this whole thing is the one that was arrested in Kleprefir, who was part of this crime that happened at Vereeniging. Let me first say what happened at Vereeniging. At Vereeniging, there was 2 cars that were there, of which one it's an I-20, white I-20 Hyundai, that had 2 occupants who I would say they were shooters, because they were the ones that confronted Mr. Swart and brutally shot at him. And then there was the one that was scouting. But when you look at the video footage, you can see that these both cars, they are together, they're working together. And there's one portion where they signal to each other to show that they're working together.
Witness B, just before you continue, I just want to bring to the Commissioner's attention that Witness B has prepared a timeline which we will flight, which will make it easier for the commissioners to follow the timeline. We will also be using other visual aids which will also be projected. These are covered extensively in the statement, but they're just an infographic representation of what she'll essentially be explaining. So we'll ask you to also have regard to the screens in front of you. Witness B, you were going to touch on the names of the 3 people who were arrested on the 17th.
Yes, the first 2 people that were arrested at Bramley, it was Michael Puletau, who is an ex-police detective at Johannesburg Detective Branch. And the second one, it's Musa Kekana. And then the third one who was arrested at Klepropier, it's Floyd Diego Denny Mabusela.
Thank you. At paragraph 11, you deal with the roles that each of these individuals played. Can you explain this to the Commission?
Yes, as I've already indicated, these people were driving in two cars, of which in one of the cars it was two occupants. Two occupants, it was Musa Kekana and Bullet Down. They were the ones that actually the shooters. And in one of the other vehicle, it was Denny Diego Mabusela, of which his role it was scouting.
And the one in which Mr. Tau and Mr. Kekana were in, is that the Hyundai?
That's correct, Commissioner. It was a Hyundai i20.
At paragraph 12, you deal with the summary of the evidence used to link the three accused persons. Can you take the Commission through that?
The evidence that was used, it comprises of different methods, if I put it like that. That will be including a video footage, and I've indicated that at QTech there was a video footage that gives us a glimpse of what happened there, and that actually helped the investigation by leading the police to know which vehicles that subsequently with that information they were arrested at Bramley through the information that was extracted from that video footage. Other than that, there is also witnesses that managed to take down the registration other than the footage. Because in the footage you hardly see the registration, but with the help of the witnesses that were in the vicinity at the time, that quickly thought of taking down the registration and escalated to the police. It made it easier to be able to track these vehicles. And then other than that, there was a lot of investigation tools that were used, including cell phones. Hence, I believe that, I don't believe, I know for sure that Witness A has touched on the exhibits that were found shortly after an arrest. That amongst those, it was cell phones. And as much as I was busy with other things, I couldn't follow everything that he told the commissioners. But it's worth noting that during the preparation, this kind of matter, it was not just the hit and run one, it was well prepared. Amongst the preparation, it was that the suspect will leave their personal phone, record phone to them at home, and then use what we call burner phones, the phone that is not easily traceable, that will be mainly used for the certain job and discarded. But the fact that all those phones were recovered during arrest, it helped a lot to link the suspects and the crimes, all four crime scenes, if I may put it like that. Other than cell phones, people, footages, there was also firearms. Hence, we know that at Vereeniging it was a brutal killing. Obviously, firearms were used, and then subsequently firearms recovered. That also helped in the linkages.
Sorry, Witness B, the video footage at QTech around 7 o'clock on the 17th of April 2024. does it actually show the shooting incident? Because as the commission, we've only seen the still shots of the CCTV, but the video footage that you have watched, does it actually show the occupants of the Hyundai firing at Mr. Swart?
Thank you, Commissioner. Yes, of course, it shows the shooting, but maybe if I should paint a picture, yes, you can see the occupants that there are two, but what you cannot see, it's their facials to be able to identify from there.
Thank you.
Witness B, you explain with reference to paragraph 13 that the exhibits that were found on the scene were taken for analysis. Can you take the commission briefly through the types of analysis that you engaged with?
In terms of the cell phones were taken to cybercrime for downloading, and then there was also section 205 in terms of the data extraction, and then when we get into firearms were also taken to ballistic for analysis. And then when I'm talking about the cell phones, well, with the section 205, looking at the data, it was quite a quicker process, but when it comes to downloading, it took a little bit lengthier because of its dynamics and obtaining of the warrants and then the specifics to the people that are going to extract specific in terms of what the magistrate is looking for. So if I may put it like to say that one, it delays a little bit because you prepare a warrant. When you get to the magistrate, he might be taking you back to say rectify here and there. You go back, you rectify. You come back, the magistrate is satisfied. When you take the actual exhibits to cybercrime, they say, no, we don't want it like this, we want it like that. And then there was like those pulling all in and out, because when you get to the magistrate, you might be saying, no, but I'm supposed to give the permission. They can't tell me how to do it. They must follow what I'm saying. So there was like those struggles of which they might have taken a month or two. That's why I'm saying it delayed the whole process. But in terms of Section 205, that was quicker. And with that only, without even having the downloads, we were able to have some linkages. We were able to identify certain people of interest.
Witness B.
Mainly we were able to place the accused in the crime scene.
Yes, Witness B, for the Commission's benefit, the Section 205 you just talked about is to obtain the call data. Am I correct?
That's correct.
And the firearms would have been sent for ballistic analysis.
That's right. Of which that was also not a lengthy process. It was just a quick one.
Thank you. The next topic.
Sorry, because there's mention of more than one place where ballistic testing was sought. Please mention the name of the first place you sent these to.
The first place, it was ballistic at Silverton. Maybe it's worth mentioning that the firearms after recovery were sold by a photographer, LCRC member, and then booked at Bramley SAPS. The very same member went to Bramley SAPS and booked those exhibits to the ballistic. Well, in that process, I was not the one, but I was communicating with the member to ask him to take those firearms as quick as possible to the ballistic.
Witness B, can you just explain what LCRC is, just for our benefit?
LCRC is Local Criminal Record Center.
Thank you. You then start to deal with a different topic, and this relates to the accused's first appearance on the 19th of April. Can you take the commission through that?
Yes, I will be able to do that. On the 19th, it was the first appearance of the accused at court. And then there was few things that were noted that were unusual. Hence, I've said we've been at court like all our careers. But in this one, there was some unusual things that happened at court. Well, to mention the large numbers of the supporters of the suspects, maybe it's beside the point, but what happened thereof, maybe it worth mentioning. I would say amongst the troops that were there, what we've noted is that the interest more than to be at court, it was on us. As much as we would identify people trying to take a video footage of us, and then some of the things were informed by the security at court because they also noted some strange stuff. Like they came to me, they know me because I've been to that court in the past and other matters. They might be telling me that, hey, these people are trying to take your photo, but we've controlled it and everything. Some of the things that we didn't see, the security informed us about. And there's this one particular utterance that was uttered by a certain lady that I think it's also worth mentioning. She was like saying out loud, like more like bragging, and intentionally so, because we were close by. It's like, you know, when someone is trying to indirectly convey a message to you, but not really saying it to you, but knowing very well that you'll get the message. She said, Katie will make this thing disappear. Like, we didn't understand where does it come from and why is it necessary and why so loud and so bragging, why also next to us. And then after that, after the court, well, all that happened, we noted after the court, when we have to disperse now, I've noted that most of the people that were at court now, we were all out in front of the court, but we were standing like not far from each other, still briefing with each other. I was briefing with my colleagues. They were standing just there looking at us. And I've noted, and I told my colleagues to say, you know what, those people, I feel like they want to see which car are we going to ride in. I don't feel comfortable going to the car because I was supposed to drive my car all alone and I didn't feel comfortable about that. And then, but anyway, the team felt that we will stand here until when if they don't move. If eventually they want to see that and they invested to see it, then they won't move until we move, and then we'll wait here until when. And then I asked one of my colleagues to come drive my car because I didn't feel good about it. And then indeed we drove in 3 different cars, and then witness B being the one at the back, I guess he touched on this and then he noticed certain things. And then he contacted us about those, and then we stopped at the garage, not far in the town there. And then we debriefed, and then we tried to say, let's now you keep driving, like not jumping into that car because I cannot drive alone now. And then let's see if they're still following us. And then indeed, they keep on following us, of which it was noted they even tried to drive us off the road. And then amongst the cars, if I may make mention, at a later stage, we get to know who are they linked to. Not all of them, but one of the cars that were in the convoy that was following us, driving us off road, when we're doing other duties where the suspects are concerned, we find it parked there in that house. So we started to recall to say, oh, but this car is one of those cars.
Witness B, I'm going to take you back just to ask, in high-profile matters, is it regular for the people in the gallery to have an interest in you, or was this something that was unusual?
It was very unusual. It was very unusual. People, they might become support the suspect and all that, but not really to take interest on us.
And when you deal with the cars that followed you after the proceedings, you mentioned that one of the cars you spotted while you're doing investigations over there. You said a house over there. Are you at liberty to disclose where you saw some of these cars at a later stage?
Okay. Maybe I'm going to jump the miles now because with everything, the arrest on the 19th, there was bail applications, there was bail on new facts, and subsequently one of the accused got a bail on new facts, and he was given strict instruction to stay at home in Warawara. And then I was also tasked to time and again to go and check him, of which I didn't for the longest time. But on that one day when I decided to go and check him in his house, that's where I found the very same car that I'm talking about parking outside his house.
And just for clarity, the accused that you're referring to is?
It's Mr. Puletau.
And what car was this?
It was a RAV4.
And you say in your statement that after the cars pursued you on your way back from the first appearance, you went back and reported this. Can you take us through this?
Oh yes, we went back to the office and we reported those occurrences, of which subsequently we were advised to do some TRA, to fill in some forms in order for TRA to be conducted on us, of which we did. We did fill the forms. We submitted to the office of our Colonel Mgwena. However, unfortunately, nothing really came forth for this effort.
At paragraph 19, you explain that at that stage you didn't fully appreciate the gravity of the case. Can you explain why?
As much as we have seen that we have been followed and all, at the back of our minds, it was like, okay, they're trying to intimidate us. We didn't know how deep it is, because even when we were confronted for the first time by the name KT, who's going to make this disappear, we didn't really at that point know who's KT, how is he connected to, how is he going to make this disappear, what powers does he hold to make this disappear. As much as we were aware that this has a potential danger, but the degree we didn't really understand it at the time.
And did this inform you not escalating this formally with your commander?
I wouldn't say we didn't escalate it formally. The fact that we went back, we went back and reports and the steps. It's not a small step to fill the TRA. It means we were saying, please look at this. There's a potential danger here. It's just that there's nothing that came forth out of it, maybe to look at, maybe we should have known about the dangers right there and there.
Thank you, Witness B. In your statement, you move on to the next topic, that is the phone analysis, and you take us through the two processes that are followed in this regard. Can you explain this to the Commission?
Oh, yes. We have, as I said, we first got a Section 205 for data. And then after that data that we've applied for came back, then there was another process to analyze it. And to through those analyses, there were linkages that we had out of that process alone, let alone the downloading. And then we have the second part that I said it took a little bit longer, of which now it's an actual downloading of the cell phones, where now we can be able to see the communications, the WhatsApps, the messages. But with the data, mostly we could see that there was phone calls from to, but we won't really see any messages, to be precise, mostly. But when we take to the other process, where now we can follow, like even the messages, we can hear what was said to who, that's another process. That's why now I'm saying it's two. And that's why earlier on I said, as early as in the process of data analysis, we're able now to link the suspects to the crime scenes. We're able now to link the extended people that I would call in people of interest. Now you can see now that this person has been contacted prior, during, or after the crimes are committed. Then that's why at the time we said it's the person of interest, because it was worth pursuing why.
Witness B, can you just clarify paragraph 21 of your statement? You say there, after seizing numerous mobile phones found at the scenes, does that include Vereniging, or are you only referring to Bramley and Q?
Oh, thanks, Commissioner. When I'm talking about cell phones, all cell phones, maybe it worth mentioning, all cell phones were, except one, they were recovered at Bramley where the arrest happened. All of them, except the one banner phone that was with Mabusela at Engine One store. And maybe I should make it a little bit more clearer, because maybe it might be confusing. As we've said, that mostly they will leave their original cell phone at house. So what happened here is, after they came back and they felt it was safe now, they were not arrested, the mission was accomplished, they took their original phones, got into the van with their original phone, including a banner phone. That's where all those phones were confiscated. And then also the one at Engine was also confiscated, but it was booked at Cleprefier SAPS. But most of the phones, including Mabusela's original phone, it was also confiscated at Bramley.
Thank you.
Witness B, you mentioned the person of interest at paragraph 25. Will you share the name with the Commission?
Oh, at the time, he was a person of interest, because we could see the habits, we could see the trade, we could see that this person was very important into this case, because seemingly the calls were going to him during scouting, and shortly after the murder. So this person, later on, we found out that is Mr. Katiso Mlive, who was subsequently later added in this matter.
Yes. Witness B, then at paragraph 26, you deal with how Mr. Molefe was then linked to the Swart murder. Can you take the commission through this process?
Oh, yes. Besides what I've already touched on by the cell phone data, and it goes a little further more because even the downloads, they still bring him closer to this case, not even closer. He's part of that. What I can say now, there's a date that I'm gonna mention. But maybe before I go to the date, let me first explain to the commissioners as to why are we here in the first place. This all started when the company at Transnet called SK Group was awarded with a tender. And then in this tender, it has been established that there was a lot of manipulation. First of all, that in the process of awarding that tender, there was two things that were very outstanding. It's to say in competition with this SK Group, there was two also more companies, of which it was Mount Gate Trading and Striveforth. And then as investigation progresses, we learned that this Mount Gate and Striveforth, they actually domained companies, meaning there was no competition in the first place for the SK.
Witness A, can you just stop for a second? Our apologies, Witness B. We were just having a technical difficulty. Can you explain the scheme again, the Transnet scheme?
Okay. Yes, it starts from a tender that was awarded to a group called SK. And then the SK group, the awarding process itself, it shows that there was a problem because the two competitors, it was Striveforth and Mountgate. When we do investigation, we can tell now that those two were just domained companies, meaning this SK didn't have any competition to start with. But I'll go back to SK itself. SK itself, it's connected to the person called Lucky Molefe. Lucky Molefe is the nephew to Katiso Molefe. This SK group was awarded this tender, and then after it was awarded this tender, all we can tell it was a manipulation because of these two companies. Already Lucky Molefe is the buyer, is the one who was facilitating this process. So already Lucky Molefe knew that he's going to give it to SK because these ones were just there to make it look like, but it was not really the true reflection of the competition. There was no competition for SK. However, what makes this thing complex is that we have a company called QTech that has a relationship with Transnet for over 40 years. And it has been supplying Transnet with, they call it springs and accessories. I don't know the right word, but it's a small spring. I've seen it during the course of my investigation. That was supplied to Transnet straight from them as they are the manufacturers. However, in 2023, they were surprised because they learned now that there is this SK group coming to them to buy the very same spring that they normally supply to the Transnet. But in this instance, it looks like the tender was awarded to SK, and their first surprise, it was normally the tenders are advertised, and this one, it was never advertised. They were surprised to see that there was actually a tender by this SK coming to them to buy these springs. But it gets worse because now they sell these springs with little like 395, but nothing more than 4 rand each. However, the SK group, when they submitted their purchase order to them, they were shocked to see they selling the very same spring that was 395 to Transnet on the price of 151 rand. And then when the inspector to inspect the springs before they were released, they raised a concern to say, how are you aware, Transnet, that you're buying something that worth less than 4 rand with 151 rand? And then the inspector said, no, we're not aware, but I'm going to escalate to the managers, of which, according to the inspector, he didn't. But eventually, like, he got to know about the grief of the QTech. That's where the problem started now, because suddenly there was a new purchase order with now an amended price that was now 5.10 rand that was sent to QTech now. Now they've got 2 different prices with 2 purchase orders. Seeing what they've seen, they've decided now to report this matter. There's a whistleblower from the company that decided to report to the Department of Enterprise. And then that's where everything started. Then the department tasked the Transnet to have an investigation. Then investigation ensued. And then eventually, like, he was requested to finish the processes of the tender that was awarded to SK, of which he delayed. He delayed up until the 12th of April. That's where everything started to connect the dots to our case now, because the investigating officer from Transnet, he then now confronted him to say, I need those processes, papers. So, and then we see something happening now in this case. Exactly on the 12th, we see now driving to Katiso Mlife's house, according to the data. And then also the tracker, the vehicle tracker. And then they both drive to QTech for the first time. They go scouts there.
Witness B,
And that's
before you move on to that portion, perhaps to just point out to the commissioners that the scheme is described at paragraph 36.3 until 26.3 till 26.5. Witness,
Do we have that graph that was displayed
we can make it available.
so that we can insert it into our files?
Certainly.
Thanks.
Thank you, Commissioner Khumalo. Witness B, if you can then start at paragraph 26.6. This is now where you deal with the relationship between Mr. Lucky Molefe and Katiso Molefe and his, I guess, the request for assistance in this regard once the scheme was discovered.
Yes. This is now As I've said, that on the top, that's when now the investigating officer from Transnet requested those documents from Lucky. And then okay, maybe
Just to assist you, Witness B, this is where you start to deal with the communication and information from the cell phones, which shows you the communication between Mr. Molefe, Lucky Molefe, and Mr. Katiso Molefe, as well as Mr. Puletau.
the communication, it's mostly between Mr. Mlive and Tau, and then we then see them meeting like personally on the for the first time on the 12th. After like we learned that he was requested to bring the papers, but instead of like bringing the papers, we see action happening between Tau and Mlive. When they start now going to the very same QTech to scout. And that you could see that from a data that Dawu drove to Katiso's place, and then they were together picking up at the same tower at Katiso's place. Shortly, they didn't even take some time. Shortly, they both seen driving together to Bernachem at QTech. And then from there, they go back to Katiso's house. Then Tau goes his way.
And does the scouting only happen on the 12th of April?
That was the beginning. That was the beginning of it. That's why I'm saying it was triggered by the investigating officer requesting these papers. Now it was seemed to be urgent. Something needed to be done urgently. Otherwise, there was going to be problems. Because from the 12th, there was a scouting, the 13th, there was a scouting, the 14th, there was a scouting, the 15th, there was a scouting, the 16th, there was a scouting. Subsequently, Armand was killed on the 17th. But there's things that happened in between. We see Katiso sending a name and a number of the intended, supposedly they thought it was a whistleblower, but let me just say of the employee from the QTech, he sent it to Tau. Tau started sharing this with her girlfriend named Lerato, asking her to search and find who is that person, of which Lerato indeed she searched until she find the intended target with his boss, and she sent it back to them, to Tau, let me not send it to them, send it back to Tau, send it back to Katiso, and they agreed that this should be him. And then the scouting continued, and then we could see there was a testing of vehicles and so forth. And in one of the days, we could see Tau's Viano there up until the knock-off time where everybody will leave QTechs. I think they were trying to identify the target. And what is notable, after the 16 from scouting, they go back to Mlive again.
Thank you, Witness B. Commissioners, this is described in detail at para 26.8 and the sub-paragraphs thereafter.
Maybe just before you leave 26.8, Witness B, you say at one point Katiso Molefe sent details of employees of QTech to Mr. Tau.
That's correct, Commissioner. That's when now he sent the cell phone number of the person that was intended to be shot, that was believed to be a whistleblower, and the name. I don't know if it's safe to call out the name of the victim.
No, Witness B, that's not necessary.
But it was not Mr. Swart, is that correct?
No, it was not Mr. Swart. It maybe worth me mentioning that in all of this, unfortunately and sadly, Mr. Swart was never the intended target. It was a mistaken of identity.
I don't think we should get to who the actual whistleblower is. Let's leave it there for their own safety.
Yes.
Yes.
Commissioners, just to cross-reference, this would be the annexures that Witness A went through yesterday with all of the stills. So that information is contained there.
Can we? Yes, it's what I was going to raise. Witness A gives dates of scouting, and I think she starts at 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. I think it will be helpful that you cross-reference from yesterday's files, that you tell us the 12th is this exhibit that we looked at yesterday, the 13th is this, because to read this without reference to annexures will be very difficult when the witness is not here.
Commissioner Bailoy, we will do so. I'll just ask that once I get my file with Witness A's annexures, I'll do that exercise and give you the references.
I'm happy that you can even start with that tomorrow morning, if you need the rest of today and the evening to do that cross-referencing.
Thank you. Witness B, at paragraph 20.
Sorry, before you move off this, at paragraph 26.8.4, and perhaps Ms. Bowe, it still falls in the category of what I'm asking, that what I've asked that you do for us. The witness says, on 12 April 1st, Mr. Dawi is seen driving to Mr. Mulife's place, and then they both drive to the location for scouting. I don't recall, and the witness, you can remind us, I don't recall that we saw evidence that they were both in the vehicle. I do recall the evidence about the vehicles. The vehicle going to Mr. Mulife and then it leaving. Is there evidence that they were both in the vehicle? And perhaps when you do the exercise that I've asked for, you can try and locate that.
Commissioner Baloy, I think Witness B will be of assistance. She referred to cell towers being used to show that they were both at that location.
Maybe let me direct the question to her. Let me do that.
Certainly.
Yes. Witness B, at 26.8.4, you say on the 12th, first Mr. Dawi is seen driving to Mr. Mulife's place, and then they both drive to the location for scouting. How do you know that they were in that vehicle together to the location for scouting?
Commissioner, we know that through the call data. It's the call data that informs us that you can see from those call data and tracking reports driving to Mlife, and then from Mlife's house, according to call data, they both driving, picking in same towers up until at Vernach and Kultek, where they were scouting. Why I would refer to say they were driving together, I'm very much aware of the explanation that he gave during the bail that he forgot the the cell phone inside Dao's car. But I'm not convinced, commissioners, because in between he was making calls, let alone receiving calls. Receiving call, I will maybe give him a benefit of the doubt because even Dao can answer. But making calls from your phone, that's extreme. And I know he was using iPhone, and I'm definitely sure that Dao wouldn't be able to access iPhone without him because I know the security is in the iPhone. I'm using an iPhone.
Thank you, Witness B.
Thank you, Commissioner Paloy. Witness B, you wrap this section up at paragraph 26.9, where you talk to the motive. Can you explain this to the commissioners with reference to paragraph 26.9? Thank you.
Yes, the motive, yeah. Hence, I reference to the 12th. We say we see something common about the dates, the 12th, because the 12th is when now, like, he was pressured to give the documents, and knowing that there was manipulation in this, and that would have costed him his job and everything that he worked for. And then instead he reached out to the uncle, and the uncle called out to the friend, and they both start scouting as immediately as the 12th, because the 12th is the genesis of why we are here now. And then
Oh, sorry, Witness B. What's your belief that Mr. Lucky Mulife ordered the hit based on?
It's based on this SK tender and the whistleblower, because, Commissioner, the actual person that was intended to be killed here is the whistleblower that was blowing the information in this SK tender thing. So unfortunately, we find Mr. Swart being killed, but not the person that was intended to be killed, because now it was creating problems for Lucky at work now that the investigator was busy now needing to have these documents. And the same documents was going to reveal that these two companies that he said they were in competition with SK, they actually non-existent. And the SK itself, it has its own problems, because the investigation has revealed that even that it was a pawn in Lucky Mulife and Thapelo Mulife, who's the son to Katiso Mulife's pawn, because when the money was paid now, maybe I don't know if I'm going too forward, but when the money was paid now to this SK, what happens? It gets paid to SK account, but the whole amount is transferred to Thapelo Mulife's account, and Thapelo Mulife is the one paying people, including the so-called director of SK. He's getting as little as 30,000 out of 1.2. So now it tells you who are the mastermind of this SK group and this tender. And it gives you a clear picture why Mr. Mulife was interested and had to do something. Because he was protecting the interest of his own son and the nephew.
I understand about calls or other contact between some of the people alleged to be involved in the murder, that is before the murder, and even the report to Mr. Katiso Mulife after the murder that I think it said, Abuti, we are fine, something like that. So I would understand the basis for inferring or concluding that Mr. Katiso Mulife could have ordered the hit. I'm not so sure that I get how you get to the conclusion or inference that Mr. Lucky Mulife could have ordered the hit. But I will leave it there. You have made your point.
Commissioner, can I add a little something on Mulife?
Yes.
Mulife, meaning Lucky. Lucky is the person who awarded this tender to SK Group. And Mulife is referred to as the buyer at Transnet. Definitely, Mulife, Lucky is not the first time he buys these certain springs from for Transnet. And Mulife is at the liberty to look at the history in the system for the people who have been supplying them with the springs, of which, at the most, the people that maybe were expensive, they were not above 6 rand mostly. I'm not talking about where he facilitated, where other employees facilitated the process. The least is 6 rand. But in every tender where he was involved, it's 100 plus. So, what I'm trying to put out there is to say, Mulife, it's not only this tender that he awarded in this fashion. So opening an investigation for him, it was crucial because it was gonna expose not only this and others as well. That's why this whistleblower had to be taken care as quickly as possible before everything comes to light.
And perhaps Witness B, just to clarify with reference to the infographic, there's a dotted line next to Mulife on the right where you mentioned that further investigations have found other schemes. Can you explain that briefly?
That's correct. Unfortunately, that's it's still under investigation, but it's safe to say it's more than one. It could be 10, 15 or 3, but it's more than one.
Thank you, Witness B.
Sorry, Commissioner. One last information that I forgot to include where QTech is concerned. That's why it was so important to eliminate QTech, is that on the system, they've been having this relationship with Transnet for over 40 years. But when at the first value investigations were done, it was so strange that they were not appearing in the system. Somebody had deleted them so that it can never be seen.
Thank you, Witness B. The next section in your statement, you deal with ongoing signs of intimidation, threat, and interference. You explain at paragraph 28 what kept happening as you went to further appearances. Can you take the Commission through this?
Which paragraph am I dealing with now?
We are dealing with paragraph 28.
I'm trying to follow so that
just to explain to the commissioners that the witness has a slight problem with her eyes, so we are trying our best for her not to read. So sometimes that's why we give cues. Yes. This is where you talk about some of your experience with the ongoing court appearances.
Oh, yes. That will be obviously
Not,
as
not ongoing signs of intimidation, threats, and interference.
Yes, Chair, that, but with reference to when they go to further appearances, that's the first line of paragraph 28.
Oh, thank you, thank you.
Oh, yes, the following, it's worth noting that it was not for the first appearance only. It has been going on. And then the people trying to take photo of us, it has now became a thing. But at least we had securities that they were aware now that they were looking at each and everyone who's trying to take our photos. They might become and explain to us that we stop certain individual trying to take your photos and everything. And there was this one individual who would always make a point that he come closer to us, and we know for sure that he's a friend to Mr. Tao, but we didn't understand why this guy would want to be closer to us, and we believe it was his way to identify us. Hence, at the later stage of the investigation, we learned that he was tasked by facilitating the elimination of us. So now that action, maybe somebody needed to see us and they would say, the ones that I would go closer to them, it's them. I don't know.
And at paragraph 29, you deal with some of the intelligence you were receiving. Can you tell the Commission about that?
Yes, and then this will be the information that will be deliberately delivered amongst the team to say, you have only, you, like us investigators, we only have two options. You only have an option to accept the bribe and do what those criminals want, or you'll die. Actually, the second one, it's not even an option. It's like that. It's either you do this or you'll die. And then where the suspects were concerned, there was a time where a person was informing one of our members to say, now there's only three options. The suspect will escape, the suspect will kill you, or the suspect will buy his way out.
And based on...
So it was like these bribes were not coming in a form of like enticing you anymore. It was coming in a form of threatening you as well.
Let me understand the evidence on the bribes. Before today, I don't remember, I may have forgotten, but I don't remember that there ever was a categorical offer of a bribe. There was mention of envelopes, one envelope being for the prosecutor, another one for the investigators, plural, and another one, was it for the judicial officer? Yes, 3 envelopes. And my understanding was that witness A inferred from that this was an enticement to you, the investigators, to take a bribe on the basis that the reference to envelopes was reference to bribes. He never, if I'm correct, ever said that an offer was made. Here's a bribe. Take it. If you don't, B will happen. I may be incorrect.
Chair, that is correct. Witness B is referring to what informants that they work with would tell them. So not an express, but perhaps let's direct this to the witness to explain it. But it's more that this was outside of official channels. This was their informants informing them that you have these 2 options.
All right. Maybe let me just listen. I will hear what witness B says when they visit Pretoria. I will say nothing about who they were visiting in Pretoria.
Thank you, Chair. Witness B, do you want to comment on the information you are referring to from informants on bribes and the threats that you were facing?
Yes, I would like to comment. Commissioner, maybe just to put everyone on the picture of what was happening here. And yes, I understand we say informant, but this kind of informers, actually, let me say the one that was telling us that information, it was not somebody who detached himself from the closeness of the suspects, if I may put it like that. He will put it in a way as if it's a message. It's a message from where the suspects they have interest or whatever. It's to say this is what is going to happen. This is what you should be doing, or else this is what is going to happen to you. And it went as far as at some point there was, even though there was never a direct approach to say, here's the bribe, you take it or you die or whatever. But there was a point whereby an amount was mentioned
Witness B,
through inform.
Witness B, can you please tell us under what circumstances this happened? Where were you when this was said to you? Where was the person who told you this? Were you in the presence of each other? Unless you are not willing to tell us who this person was, who was this person?
Can I not say who was the person, but I would say this information to me, it gets to me through the colleague, because this informer is directly reporting to the colleague. I was saying at some point, the very same informer told the colleague that the amount that was already paid to the investigators, let me say to me in particular, he said I was paid 1.2 meter. And this information comes shortly after Dow is granted bail. He said, you see, I told you that this person has been paid. Like he's speaking from the point of knowing, even knowing the amounts. And everything that he has warned my colleague about, it's happening. So it's easy to believe such person when he says tomorrow this person is going to get paid and the person gets paid. Now he tells my colleague that I've been paid 1.2. So he was supposed to believe even that. But unfortunately, he knows me better than that.
And are you also not willing to tell us who the colleague was?
Chair, I'm going to have to protect the witness from you.
Sorry?
I'm going to have to protect the witness B from you for a little bit. And I think they will touch on the fact that sometimes referring to colleagues compromises them at the stations they work at. So they aren't able to reveal that.
Well, the witness must tell me that. The witness must tell me that I did not for 1 minute suggest that I was going to press. If for whatever reason the witness says they are not willing to divulge who the colleague is or was.
Thank you, Chair. Witness B, can you explain to the Chair why it is you are unwilling to divulge the name of even your colleague?
It's gonna expose the identity.
I'll leave it there.
Thank you, Chair. Witness B, you explained that after the escalation or ongoing threats and intimidation, you took measures to protect yourself. Can you take the commission through what measures you adopted?
This happens shortly. Most of our drastic decisions were taken by us after the release of Atago, as much as we were in danger before. But now that it was released, we knew that the danger has escalated.
Witness B, let me help you. We are at paragraph 29 of your statement, so we are not at Mr. Tao's release yet. This was when you stopped driving.
Oh, yes. No, what I did there, I was really afraid to drive the vehicle that was assigned to me, a state vehicle, because that vehicle I've been driving it since it was handed to first time it was I was driving that vehicle. So it was easy to track me on that vehicle. Therefore, I was afraid to drive it. And I gave it to my colleague to drive it, and then I stopped completely to drive it.
And at paragraph 30, you refer to assistance that was given from a private security company. Can you explain this to the commission?
Yes, this assistance happened shortly. As I'm saying, maybe I'll be too forward because some of these occurrences happened shortly after the DAO was released. Even me stopping driving the vehicle, that was exactly the time when I stopped driving that vehicle, and then we got assistance from the private security that was helping us during the course of investigation, giving us protection, because it was becoming so impossible now to do investigation out of fear, knowing that Tao is out there, and we learned that he already, while inside, tried to facilitate our assassination. Then now that he can do it himself, it was so difficult.
And at paragraph 32, you deal with the threat and risk assessment that you initially done. Can you explain this process?
And then after this now, before we even go for this TRA, we first, maybe it's time now I start immediately after that was released what happened. That was Friday. On the following Saturday, we had to regroup, me and my colleagues, to
Okay, Witness B.
look at how.
Witness B, let me stop you because chronologically that happens a little later. So perhaps before we deal with the drastic steps that you took after Mr. Buletao's release, let's first deal with then the meeting with General Shibiri that happens in the 15th of May. So you deal with this at paragraph 34 of your statement. You start from the call you receive from Colonel Mukwena. Can you take it from there?
Oh, yes. And then on this day, it was after hours, I was at home already, and then I received a call from Colonel Mukwena, and then he told me that he was with General Shibiri, and he had the others.
Witness B?
Shibiri through Colonel Mukwena.
Witness B? Can we stop for a second? I think the connectivity is is bad. Can you say something just so that we can hear that it's gotten better?
Can you hear me?
Yes, yes. Please start again from the call that you received from Colonel Mokoena.
Yes, it was after I was home already. I received a call from Colonel Mokoena, and then he told me he was with General Shibiri, and General Shibiri would like to talk to me. He then handed over the phone, and then I spoke to the general, and the general was basically asking me questions, trying to understand the whole case and the linkages and everything. Therefore, unfortunately, I was not in the liberty to do that. I feel so uncomfortable to do that over the phone because after realizing the people we're dealing with, that they were too sophisticated, so we're not really discussing any of the cases concerns over the phone. Therefore, I explained that to the general to say, I don't mind giving general the brief case, but I can't do it over the phone for this and that reason, of which he understood. He said, okay, cool. And then you can please come to my office so that you can give me this information on this case.
That is that is the visit to Pretoria that I was referring to earlier.
Yes.
Witness B, in the reporting line or hierarchy, what is Colonel Mokoena in relation to you? Is he your direct superior?
That's actually, he was my direct, and then he reporting to the brigadier reporting to the general.
Brigadier being who? The name of the brigadier to which Colonel Mokoena reported?
Brigadier Khopane, sorry.
And then Brigadier Khopane reported to which general?
General Khumalo. Because of many Khumalos, you will say General Mbuso Khumalo.
Thank you. I don't recall whether yesterday we got the name of Colonel Mokoena. His first name?
I know him as Colonel Mokoena. I don't know his first name.
All right, we'll get it. I'm sure Ms. Bowe will help us at some point. Thank you, Witness B.
So, Witness B, you are not on first name basis. We can leave it at that for now.
Thank you, Commissioners. We are about to go into the content of the meeting, and I note slightly early, 3 minutes before tea. Perhaps, Chair, this is an opportune time to break.
Let's adjourn and resume at 15:15.